bad. Yeah, well, I suppose. Oh, you mean the whole, the giant thing that has all the friends on it?
Super in front, like she even has a good start.
The keyboard thing? Yeah.
Oh yeah, they've already sent me like 2 emails about this. Yeah. So what's their story then?
It's so weird that day. I'm glad you didn't notice. But he was like kind of little. It was like,
Let's fill out this table first.
yeah. It was the table that you guys know.
This one. Yeah.
Oh, I thought I was wondering if she can see really good. I told her to sit
Okay.
super in the front, but
That's good.
might-
That's good. That's fine.
What are you doing here, man?
Well, I asked her.
Why are you here?
So much.
I don't even want to talk about this. He told me this house, I was like, how do you even do that?
Is my live
driving.
living?
Yeah, I'll try.
Because at some point I accidentally made it unlisted.
I see this. Testing.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not great, but you know, I'm kind of of the opinion that it's
For example, I mean, what they did was they set up. Oh wait, I have like they set up a ballot table on Zoom classes, and then they pretend that there's
Hey guys, we start in 2 minutes. All right, hello everyone. Hello, hi, welcome. So it's the 18th century and we are all peasants in Europe. That's what we would be if it was 18th century, and that's the context for this. So back then, if we were born, most of us would be peasants, meaning that our rank, power, and who we get to become would have been determined by just birth, not by who we decide to be. And so, do you recognize the song? Do you know the name? Anyone? So it's called Ode to Joy, or the last movement of Symphony No. 9 by Beethoven. But the joy here is not superficial happiness. It's meant to be a deep sense of fulfillment with life that comes from a place of empathy and connection, because that's the context here. There is a line in German where it says, Alle Menschen werden Brüder, wo dein sanfter Flügel weilt. All men become brothers. So what it means is that regardless of our nationality and place of birth and just who we are at birth, we share the same dignity and moral worth. And this is not just like superficial happiness. It's an invitation, it's a call to action that humanity and we should rise above violence and division and supremacy and promote ideas of nonviolence and equality and justice. So the reason I'm standing in front of you today is because those are the values I want to see in this society: justice, equality, and respect for each other, and empathy. But I think that we've come a long way since 18th century of Europe. We are no longer peasants. However, I think that there are other blind spots in society, other forms of violence and other forms of supremacy, which is really what I want to talk to you today about. You probably know me. I'm Faraz. I'm the CEO of Allied Scholars for Animal Protection. By training, I'm a biomedical and food system scientist. Well, biomedical scientist at first, but then I learned about the food system, which is the whole idea. And I think you have an idea why you're here. But a quick disclaimer, there will be food. It's not a scam. It's like right there, I can see it. But we're gonna eat after I'm done, so give me 1 hour. The other thing is I'm shy, I'm an introvert, and every time I give public presentations, a part of me dies. But regardless, I think that I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone, and I think that's what we need to do if we really want to change things. Nothing in society changes if we are within our comfort zone. And I'm doing that with myself, and I also will do that with you. I will push you out of your comfort zone. Just know that the reason I do that is because I care about you, and the only reason talking about food overall, it's a very difficult topic. And I really appreciate anyone who came here, whether you're vegan or not, to give it an open mind. So hear what I have to say, but know that if I push you, it's just because it's the most important thing that we need to talk about. And if you saw a flyer that said the best speech that you will ever hear, it's not because I'm the best speaker, it's just because the topic itself is one of the most important discussions that we should have. I want you to take a second to think about these people: Gandhi, MLK, and Rosa Parks. I told you earlier that the idea of Ode to Joy, the song I played, is like more than happiness. The way that we describe happiness as drinking and having fun, that's usually what we describe happiness as. But it's very temporary, right? Because then next day it's Monday, weekend is over, and you're miserable again, and you have to do this job that you don't like. But there is something bigger than that you can do with your life and career, and that's that deep sense of fulfillment. And to my knowledge, one of the best ways to do that is when you devote your life and career to something that's bigger than you and me, and it's about helping others. And I want you to take a look at their eyes for a second and imagine how they felt being in prison this is Gandhi coming out of prison, if that's not obvious, for something so obvious, right? So today it's really easy to say that racism is wrong, but you have to understand that, can you imagine the frustration that they had to feel back then, talking about something so obvious and going to jail for it? Right? So it's very easy today to say that I'm against racism and sexism and this and that, But how many of us truly would have had the courage to do the right thing back then? Not a lot of us. But I think, I wasn't best buddies with them, but I think that if you went to them and said, are you satisfied with whatever decisions that you made that ended up you being in a jail, I think they would have said, I'd rather die than do anything else. And whatever you end up doing after this talk and with your life, please be in a position where you can say, I'd rather die than do anything else. And so treat this discussion we're going to have as your chance to do something magnificent with your lives. Most people do very boring jobs, and it's not really related to veganism, which is the next topic I want to get into, but like as kids, we all have like big dreams and goals, and somewhere along the way in this society, we just get put into this like little box. You get a degree, and then you get married, and you buy a house and a car, and then have a bunch of babies, and that's it. But there is so much more to life than that. So, and I think when you look at these people, that's why we respect them, because they had the courage to do the right thing when it wasn't popular, and they ended up helping other people. So I'll tell you a little about my background. This is me, day one, looked like a potato. I'm originally from Iran, so this is in Tehran. And that's Tehran International Airport. And this is the last picture that I have with my mom. And I always feel uneasy sharing this picture for a few reasons. One is that my mom is actually not religious, but in Iran, technically it's like the default, the factory default is like you're born Muslim, even if you're not. And so everyone is forced to wear hijab. And so for many of you, it might just look like a cultural thing, but it's really just oppression of women. And my mom is really just not religious. And I still don't imagine just living your whole life, someone else decides what you get to wear and who you get to be. The other thing is, this picture is probably the last, unless the regime in Iran changes, this would be the last time I actually see my mom. Well, she's still alive. I'm alive, if you didn't know this. But I will be executed if I go back to Iran for 4 separate reasons. You'll learn some of them at least by the end of this talk. But I can go back to Iran. My mom can't leave. So unless the regime changes, this would be the last time I see her. I think throughout my professional career, I was always guided by one question, which is, what is the biggest impact I can have in the world? My bachelor was chemical engineering, and I was working on petroleum. And then I realized that there was like a lot of pollution associated with it. This is actually from a big oil spill from Gulf of Mexico. And when I saw that what happened to fish and the environment and these beaches with like covered in oil, I was like, this is not what I want to do. So I switched my research to biofuel production and research. But I was still not satisfied. So I started my environmental club at University of Tehran, but I just wasn't satisfied. Something that really drastically changed my life is some of my friends came to me and said, Faraz, let's go to hospitals and play music for children suffering from cancer. So that's me. I play music. And as shy and introverted as I am, they took me and said, just, play music. Stay somewhere, play music. And these were terminally ill cancer patients. And in these rooms, you had like maybe 10 beds with these sick children all around. And I can't describe how difficult it is to go and try to suck out that negativity in the room and try to like bring a moment of joy to these people's lives. And then I asked myself, like, is the best thing I can do is, playing music in a cancer center? Of course not, so I decided to study cancer, and that's why I came to the US. I wanted to study in this very good cancer institute in Texas, so that's where I got my master's and then eventually my doctorate. And then I started working for biopharma. Now here's the thing. By this time, working in biomedical sciences was my dream. My dream was to become a cancer researcher and work in a good place. After my graduation, where this picture was taken, at that point I was making about like $400,000, $500,000 per year. And it's also, it comes with a lot of respect. Every time that you say that you do cancer research or, you work on pandemics and et cetera, everyone says, wow, that's really cool, thanks for what you do. And, I can't emphasize this enough. That's what I wanted to do. That the nature of the research was something I always wanted to do. But it was miserable to a point that every single day when I woke up at 8 a.m., I was like, ugh, I can't think. I had to design experiments. I was like, I have brain fog. And it was to a point that after 10 years of being vegan, is this that protein deficiency that's finally hitting me, or like B12 deficiency for my brain fog? It just turned out that I was doing the wrong thing. And I think another reason for that is that my heart was, this is how my brain works. Like I'm working on zoonotic diseases, then I'm asking myself, where do zoonotic diseases come from? Zoonotic diseases from animals. So as long as I'm working on this, no one else is talking about the root of these diseases. And I think that's one reason I was miserable. Just going back to my college, I went to University of Tehran, which is pretty much like the MIT version of Iran. It's the best and oldest university, and you see lots of happy students here because it's a stock image. That's a joke, you can laugh. Sometimes it looked like this. And actually, in this particular day, I was there, so that's the main gate. On this side, you have the students. This side, you can't see them. It's the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard. You can't see them yet. A lot of times, they actually have, they don't wear military uniforms, so you can't really see them. The gate was locked, and we were peacefully protesting. And moments later, some dude came, and all he did was showing us a peace sign. And the next thing I know, IRGC attacked him and started beating him in the head with batons. And it's not a fist fight that you just get a nosebleed. It's like, this guy is gonna die, he's screaming for his life, and you just can't do anything about it because we were sort of locked out. And as I thought things can't get any worse, they actually broke this gate. So there's a gate here just like that. They actually broke it and started running after students. At this point, I was trying to just get away. I looked outside of the university. I saw these police vans. They were literally just kidnapping students. I was like, well, I can't leave, so I better go and hide in my department. At the corner of that building, suddenly I saw an army of people in front of me, and one of them, and it was tear gas too, so I couldn't really see clearly, until one of them raised his hand with a machete and said, motherfucker, wait. And that's the best motherfucker I've ever heard in my life, because that was my clue that I better run for my life. It's like, I don't know. I really hope that you're never in that situation that you really have to run for your life, for literally just for expressing yourself. I said there are multiple reasons I'll get executed if I go back. One is the political activities. The other one is I'm also gay. And homosexuality is also punishable by death in Islam. And yeah, I think when I finally came out in the US, it was the most liberating thing that I've ever felt in my life. Unless you experience it yourself, you can't know what it feels like to see. The issue in Iran is not that you just know and you keep it hidden from other people and don't talk about it. The depth of it's such a taboo that you never learn about it. You think that you are the only person like this. You're like, what's wrong? Why am I so different from other people? And that fighting yourself is honestly the hardest part, not just keeping it a secret from others. So when I came to the US, this is actually the cancer center I first started working at. The first person I went to come out to was this guy, Ash. So I go to Ash and I said, hey, yeah, I'm gay. And he says, well, duh. I was like, God damn it, how can you tell? He says, just look at what you are wearing. I bet you can find a parrot that matches your style every single day. And we are scientists, so we had to test the hypothesis, and we just found literally a parrot on the internet that matched my style. Now I'm dead inside, so I wear black. So, but I used to be exuberant. But yeah, so I'm sure you also heard about the news, like in Iran, there's war going on. And as I'm talking to you, I don't know really if my mom is alive. I don't know if my university is still there, the places I grew up in. And, you know, and it's really just, I think, my government's fault for just putting us in this situation. But regardless, the only reason I say that is because while this is going on, and I have other shit to think about in my life, and I do have other concerns, what I'm about to tell you about animals is the most neglected form of injustice and oppression. Because you still talk about this, right? If you open news or go on Instagram, everyone's talking about this. But we're killing billions and trillions of animals, and we don't even think about it. The thing is, we have reduced them to a point that they are not even considered victims. To tell you another story, this is, again, me as I was, I don't know, 6, 7 here. And that guy right there, his name is Happy, and he was my best childhood friend. Happy actually is the first English word that I learned. So Happy grew up to become this big rooster, and we gave him to my grandma because he was loud. And every time I opened the door, Happy jumped at me, we cuddled, and, you know, my best friend. Actually, my grandma, God bless her soul, she always thought that I was excited to see her. But it was, you know, she was okay. But I was there for Happy. And it was crazy, just like any other pet. You open the door, you know, he jumps at you, greets you. Until one day I go home, open the door, no sign of Happy. And I'm like looking around, trying to find him, concerned. Nothing. And, you know, my grandma says, sorry for us, the door was left open, he ran away. And I was crying, and I was disheartened because I was like, he loves me so much, why would he run away? And it just turns out that 10 years later, when my grandma was already dead, my mom accidentally just brings it up that the chicken soup we had that night. And the crazy thing is, you know, I was, of course, very mad at my grandma. I'm not entirely sure if I've forgiven her. I think I have. But, you know, I felt like she betrayed my childhood trust and innocence and killed my best friend and fed him to me and lied about it. But the only reason if I ever forgive her, it's because that day it's on me. I knew I had chicken soup. And it's just because it was such a traumatic experience that I remember that day very clearly. And I remember having like those goddamn chicken bones in my soup. I just didn't care because I didn't think that was Happy. So that just shows an obvious problem, right? That if we care about an animal, we do whatever to help them. But when it comes to dinner table, we don't even think about it. So about 14, 15 years ago, one of my friends, who's actually from Iran. Iranians are very nice. We never say no. It's like we die inside, but we rather do whatever it takes, but never say no to you. But my friend actually told me no when I asked her to help me to rescue some animals, some fish. And she said, she refused to help me, and she said that you literally eat animals, and here you're trying to like rescue them. I was like, ouch. I hated her for 3 months, and then I was like, God damn it, she has a point. But let me say this in parentheses. Good friends and good people around you are those who actually push you out of your comfort zone and are honest with you. Most of us, or I don't know, some of us, try to be fake, and you know, we think that a good friend is always supportive, but I think a good friend is someone who actually tells you the truth, even when you don't want to hear it. And I told you that, you know, the conversation is uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable. I didn't like hearing about it or thinking about it. No one wants to think that they're a hypocrite. But really what she said stuck with me, and that changed my entire life. And that's when I started questioning some things. For instance, I say I love animals. I always said that. It was the case with Happy. But I ate them, right? can you truly love and respect animals while you paid for them to be exploited and killed and be sent to slaughterhouse? And if yes, then what is the definition of love? If you can love somebody and send them to slaughterhouse, please never love me. Can we truly say that, a lot of times people say, I love meat, I love cheese. We didn't even choose to like these products. We just grew up. It's literally just a habit. If you were born somewhere else in the world, you would be just liking different foods. What should I do to convince you to please come drink like titty juice of cows if what you were already used to was almond milk, right? It would be very gross to you. So we just got used to it. And even if we love the taste of meat, eggs, dairy, which I did, do we think that taste, pleasure, a moment of pleasure justifies what we do to these animals? And here's the thing. If you're not vegan, you probably had animal products maybe 3 days ago. And think about that. You probably don't even remember what you ate. But for that, an animal had to be born in captivity and be mutilated and be treated like object, like a slave, like a commodity, and be killed for something that we can't even remember. And I said slaves. In this talk, I will make comparisons and I will use oppression, injustice, slavery to describe animals. And if that idea makes you uncomfortable, you have to ask yourself this. Do you think oppression and injustice and slavery is unique to humans? Or do you think it is possible to enslave members of other species? It doesn't mean that we are talking about the same thing and they're identical, but the question is that if you understand that they are not objects, they are sentient beings, they have subjective experience of life, they feel pain and pleasure, then if we put them in these environments, if we raise them in captivity and send them to slaughterhouses, clearly they're not free. If they're not free, they're slaves. And then it comes to this idea of humane, because I guarantee you, every single time after my talk, someone says, what about this farm that exists in my mind? Maybe I graduate and one day I have some backyard chicken, right? What about the humane killing of animals? We'll talk about that. Humane, does anyone know what it means? Like actually the dictionary definition of the word humane? Take a guess. You study philosophy, don't let me.
I have a guess. Like
Guess.
as a human would treat something.
Yeah. But a human can treat someone badly, but that's not what humane means, right? It just means treating someone well. The dictionary definition is.
I was going to say that treat something as if they were human, with humanity.
Yeah, with dignity, right? Yeah, exactly. It means treating someone with kindness and compassion. That's really just the dictionary definition, right? If we establish, which we will, and I think you probably already know that we don't rely on animal products to survive, it's not a necessity anymore, then there is no kind and compassionate way to kill somebody who doesn't want to die, right? So humane is a marketing term. We didn't come up with it. You just heard it on the packages of animal products because it's meant for us to feel better. And being interested in so many other forms of injustice, the question for me was, wait a second, is animal injustice in my blind spot? Because I tell you this, when you're in college, I think this is the first time when you're exposed to different issues in the world. I think college is the first time when you learn that the world is a shitty place, at least for me. Before that, you're just growing up, you're, just want to go to this college and you have hopes and dreams. In college, you're walking around campus and there is this organization talking about this war and that organization selling dog meat apparently. That's us. So you get to be exposed to different causes, right? And you have to pick your battle. And I think that this form of injustice is not even on our radar. And that's the whole point of this talk. I want to put it in front of you. That not only we should care about it, but it's actually one of the most important things that we can devote our lives to. So when my friend pointed out my hypocrisy, I was like, she has a point. I deeply cared about this. At the time, I lived around like 2013. I lived in Germany, and my favorite food was bratwurst. And the only regret I have in my life is the 3 months that it took from when my friend pointed out my hypocrisy to the point where I stopped eating meat. Those 3 months, I knew it's the wrong thing to do, and I still did it. And that's my biggest regret. Why did I do it? I just liked it. There was a time in my life I said, sorry animals, 1 second of you dying, I just love Bagadur so much. I'm not proud of who I was. Obviously, I was against hanging gay people for who they are, but I was okay with hanging chickens upside down and killing them just because we like chickens. I was pro-human rights and I was a human rights activist, but I don't think that we can claim that we respect women if we intentionally and knowingly consume dairy. This is not an isolated case. This is artificial insemination in the US. It happens in every single dairy farm. And the entire dairy industry is fundamentally based on exploiting the reproductive system of female cows and eventually killing them when they're no longer profitable. The entire industry. So justice has to be blind. We already figured it out. We know that justice should be blind to race, to sex, to a few other things, but justice also has to be blind to species. And if she's not blind, then she'll become a weapon of terror. I want you to think about any other form of human oppression in history. You will find that we use the same exact justifications to just do different forms of oppression. So I said, you look different. Your skin color is different than me, therefore you have less right to be alive. Or you're not equal to me, right? So, or you have a different sexual orientation, or you have a different sex. I'm man, you're woman, we are better. We always thought that way in history, and we use our differences. We are all different, right? Historically, we always used our differences to oppress each other. But we know that that's wrong, because our differences are not morally relevant. What is morally relevant is that we are all capable of feeling pain and suffering. And that's true about me, that's true about you. And that's true about all these animals. So the truth about dairy is that all female cows have to be artificially inseminated. Their babies are always separated and kept in these boxes in isolation so that the moms can be milked. And the boys are sent to slaughterhouse because they are just biologically not profitable for dairy. This blows my mind. In top universities, go around and ask people, 95% of people don't realize that all male chickens have to be ground up alive just because male chickens don't lay eggs. It makes sense the second when you think about it. But isn't it crazy that I never stopped to wonder what happens to me when I thought about dairy cows. It was like, there are just cows. They're like milking machines. Of course not. Only female cows. When somebody explained it to you, you're like, okay, yeah, duh. But what has the industry done that we never even question these things? And remember, this is true. Even if the egg is pasture-raised, grass-fed, organic, whatever, doesn't matter. Male chickens don't produce eggs, killed. How many of you have heard of ag-gag laws? Ag-gag laws? No one? You have? Great. Ag-gag laws prevent whistleblowers to show what happens to animals. In the US, they usually get struck down by Supreme Court because they're not constitutional. But the industry tries anyways, and they make some successes. So what it's simple terms, it is really easy to have bacon because you don't have to see what happens to animals. But if I went inside one of the slaughterhouses and just recorded what happens and showed you so that you can make an informed decision, then I'll go to jail. I'll be a criminal for showing you the truth. The reason I tell you this is, what is it that's happening behind the doors that the industry tries so hard to keep hidden from you? So for the next 3 minutes, I'm going to show you moments from meat, eggs, dairy industry. It's going to be a little hard to watch. If I can ask you to, please don't get up because it distracts everyone. There is no sound, there's music, so if you have to look away, you can. But I encourage you, even if you're vegan, we have to realize how bad of an issue we have today. what is it that I don't know if my mom is alive, but I'm still in front of you talking about this? Like, what the hell? I genuinely don't understand how this amazing, beautiful country and people, how can we let something like this happen? Every single second of every single day. I told you that when I came out in the US, it was one of the most liberating experiences that I've had until that point. And really, you know, just being in the US, it just felt like not being in prison once in my life. But are you telling me that I'm not going to get killed for who I am and for expressing my thoughts? But it all changed when I became vegan. Then even this country turned out to be one giant concentration camp for animals. And it's been the longest lasting form of oppression of all time in history. And I don't think that you need convincing that this is bad. I think you know that. The question is, what are we going to do about this? That's really the question. And I don't really have any nice, comfortable way of saying this. But I wish that I knew this sooner, and maybe before coming to this talk, you had an excuse Maybe you didn't know, but now you do. So what are you going to do about it? You can do one of these three things, no matter where you are in your life. One is we just acknowledge that there is a problem and we just go with our lives. Two is that you just become vegan or just stop supporting this, which is okay, but there's a third group that not only stops supporting this, but also they become warriors. People like MLK, like Gandhi. Because back in the day when, let's say, like slavery was legal and normal, it wouldn't have been enough just to say, oh yeah, I acknowledge that it's a problem and it's a systemic issue, right? No, that doesn't give us the right to support it. And I want you to ask yourself, if you went back then, what are you gonna do? Which group would you rather be? A group that just acknowledges that there is a problem, or a group that says, this is absolutely fucked up and I'm gonna change it and I'm gonna fix it? I'm not kidding when I say I think it's the biggest form of oppression. This is a picture I took from my flight from Austin to Chicago. Most people are looking at the same exact thing. They don't even see the problem. When I say it's the most neglected form of oppression, that's what I mean. If I zoom in, my eyes have been trained to look for this stuff. You know what these are? In each one of these buildings, there are hundreds of thousands, in each one of them, hundreds of thousands of chickens or other animals raised in captivity, only being viewed as tiny little slaves for somebody to make profit just because we like eggs and chicken wings, waiting to be slaughtered. In that one picture, like I don't understand how this is the US. That I look down and there are like several million individuals being raised in captivity in these conditions. And the crazy thing is, what actually gives me hope is that I know that we do actually care about animals. Replace the chickens with dogs, there would be riots everywhere. Right now, if you like punch a dog, that's criminal, right? So you get punished for that. But you can't do this in the US. But if you do that with chickens or turkeys or any other animal, as soon as you label them as livestock, you can do whatever you want to them. And when I say we turn this beautiful country to one giant slaughterhouse, that's what I'm talking about. This is the map of not just farms. This is just slaughterhouses. And this is what's going on behind. Like that's almost like the software calculator installed in my brain. Everything I do in my life, in terms of like fixing an issue or working on a form of injustice, this is that calculator. And I tell you, show me some, this is a kill calculator, number of animals killed, not exploited. And I ask you this, like show me something that causes more death and pain and suffering, I will shut up right now, I will go focus on that. But there is not. But I want to show you that actually when we were kids, we didn't need an hour lecture in Tufts University to be convinced. We already cared. And I want you to pay attention to what the parents are telling these kids, because the kids clearly care about animals, but listen to the parents.
Do you think, so what will you eat instead?
I will eat whatever there's on the table, but not chicken or meat.
Why do you think you don't want to do that?
Because they're animals and I like animals.
So what will we do if we miss eating chicken and meat?
I don't miss eating chicken and meat.
How about fish?
Fish?
Yeah.
Fish? Is it an animal?
Yeah.
I won't eat that either.
Oh my God. So
I won't eat animals.
Okay. Why do you feel sorry for animals?
Because they're nice, and I know that we cook them sometimes, which is not very nice.
Yeah. Do you think they suffer?
I think that they don't really like being cooked in the oven. I don't like when people eat animals. I just want them to
up. But they taste very good. You don't eat horses. You only eat turkeys and chicken and pigs and cows.
That's called speciesism.
So we shouldn't eat them, should we not? Fair enough. It's their job. It's how they make a living. How they make money. Because they taste good. And they have protein and they're good for you.
They taste good, they have protein, they're good for you.
Alright.
Okay, last one.
And I won't make you eat the food because I don't want to argue with you.
Would you like if someone ate you?
No, I wouldn't.
Well, then why should I eat this poor harmless animal?
Okay, but do you understand what I'm saying? We didn't kill this animal. It's good for your body. Jesus created animals for us to eat. Baby, do you understand? I just want you to be healthy. It's food, baby. I'm not hurting you. It's food.
Well, you're hurting the animal.
I did not hurt the animals. Good girl. Alana, eat it, chew it, and drink your water. Quick, quick.
You know, I don't even like kids, but it's very interesting because I think that when I was a kid, I actually, just like her, I didn't want to eat meat. I didn't know it was dead animals, like, you know, what happened with my grandma. But we get sort of conditioned or indoctrinated in this society. The whole idea here is that as kids, we did care, but something happened to us, that we went from being animals' best heroes to becoming their worst nightmare. Did you notice that there was no difference between horses and pigs and cows and chickens? It doesn't take a graduate degree to understand all these animals suffer. I love the first one. She said, the mom says, what about fish? And she's like, fish? Fish are animals. Now I have to, I talk to people and they're like, what about fish? I was like, God damn it. Well, you know, they're animals. They have a central nervous system. They have neurons. They feel pain, but I think a kid already gets it. If you actually try to harm animals in front of kids, that's what they would do. That last one always hits me hard because it's like I wish I was there when my grandma was killing Happy. But that just hand gesture, like, you know, when he saved the chicken, just like, you're free, you little guy, you know, just be free. But I think as kids, we already had the right idea. But what happens is that every single time that you have animal products, you're exposed to lies. And that's why another poster was called The Lies and the Truth, because everything, just look at the next dairy bottle that you grab. It's always a happy cow, always a happy chicken. Do we really think that animals are happy in slaughterhouses? And cheese, that's the thing with vegetarians, because I used to be vegetarian before I know what happens to cows in dairy industry. But like, did you see one of those kids when the mom said, are you gonna miss eating something? And she said, no, I don't wanna eat animals. Like it feels like a 6-year-old has more willpower than some of us. That now you show people this, but they say, but what about cheese? It's like almost we are zombies of brainwashed by the dairy industry, that we justify everything that happens in dairy because we like cheese. And of course, you're always exposed to marketing like this, that got milk campaign and paying actors to push this agenda. I'll just show you 1 minute of Fairlife. Fairlife is one of the largest dairy producers in the US. This is not one of the few investigations. This is like an annual investigations, and this is what they find every single time.
The dairy industry tried for 20 years to convince you that milk was good for you. It's a lie, but they tried anyway. And the sales were going like this. And then they tried got milk, and the sales are going like this. Got milk doesn't even talk about the product. Matter of fact, it focuses on the absence of the product.
Yeah, so it's basically our marketing, and what he said was, it's not even good for you. So let's see if there is any truth in that. Remember when I was doing this, the question for me was, well, even if I care about cancer, wouldn't it make sense to actually study cancer to save more people? And then there is a realization, that you would have when you study this thing, which is that, wait a second, most diseases, most top causes of death in humans are actually linked to the food that people are eating. For instance, as a cancer researcher, it just never occurred to me that meat is heavily linked to cancer. And this is not a vegan organization. This is World Health Organization and UK Cancer Research. So not just processed meat, but red meat as a whole is still group 2A carcinogenic. And I guarantee you, find me one cancer institute in the world that says eat more meat. There's not. They say eat more fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds to prevent and fight cancer, and avoid sugary drink and alcohol, which please do anyways, as well as reducing or eliminating meat from your diet. And it's not just red meat. If your idea of healthy meat is steak or chicken or fish, any kind of meat, when you heat them up in high temperature, it becomes more carcinogenic. And what is the #1 cause of death anyways in humans? I heard whispers. Heart disease? Yeah. What do you say? Protein deficiency. Yeah, so #1 cause of death is heart disease, then you have cancer and diabetes, and these are heavily linked to animal consumption, because anyone who has heart disease, it's almost entirely, by the way, almost entirely preventable. It's linked to, your cardiologist will look at your lipids, cholesterol and saturated fat. More than cholesterol is about saturated fat. Where does saturated fat come from? From meat, eggs, dairy, and other animal products. But yeah, it's crazy that when you talk to people that are worried about protein, it's find me a doctor. When was the last time you went to a ER and then they're bringing someone, they're doing CPR, and what happened? Still didn't get enough proteins. Doesn't happen. I want to show you this study. It's pretty cool. It's actually from Harvard, Walter Willett. Is it war here too? Okay. So Walter Willett is a very good, famous professor at Harvard. So they looked at 130,000 people for over 30 years. And what they did, they replaced animal-based protein with plant-based protein. And this is a forest plot. Anything on this side means that that replacement was favorable towards plant-based protein. So look at this, all-cause mortality, cardiovascular disease, cancer, and other causes of death. When you replace animal-based protein with plant-based protein, all of it is reduced. And look at eggs here, for instance. So what it means is that if you replace the protein in eggs with any plant-based proteins, your risk of cancer, death from cancer would significantly go down. And this is after adjusting for smoking, BMI, socioeconomic class, alcohol consumption, physical activities, everything. So that's why I like this study. At the end of the day, all you need to know is position of Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, which is the largest academy of nutritionists in the world. It's not a vegan organization. Every couple of years, they put the position paper out there. And this is what it says. Appropriately planned vegetarian, including vegan diets. I hate that they're calling veganism a diet. But anyways, healthful, nutritionally adequate, and may provide health benefits. They are appropriate for all the stages of life, including pregnancy, lactation, infancy, childhood, adolescence, and adulthood, and for athletes. And on top of that, they're more environmentally sustainable, and they can reduce the risk of certain health conditions, including heart disease, type 2 diabetes, hypertension, obesity, several types of cancer. Why? Because of lower intake of saturated fat and more fiber and phytochemicals. But I know that protein is usually a concern. So have you heard of complete proteins? I'm sure you have. You haven't. That's good. Okay. What do you think complete protein means? Anyone? Yeah?
It has all the amino acids necessary for sustainability.
Okay.
I was going to say, yeah, all the necessary amino acids.
So if it's incomplete, does that mean it's lacking certain amino acids?
I would think so, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, that's the thing. It signals that they may lack certain amino acids. By the way, the term was coined from a book that was later, retracted, but the damage was done. Complete protein only means that it has all the amino acids in the right ratios. Meaning that if you ate only that food, like if you ate only meat or eggs, whatever, you get all the amino acids in the right ratio. But it's not really relevant to today's world. And I'll tell you why. But soy, nonetheless, soy is already a complete protein. So there's that, with that bad definition. But I say it's a bad definition because it suggests that plants lack certain amino acids, which is not the case. Every color here is a different amino acids. How many amino acids are out there in humans? 20. Okay. How many are essential? 9. So these are your 9 essential ones and 11 non-essential. All foods have all 20 amino acids. It's only the ratio that's different, and plants are higher in some and lower in others. And it really depends on the food that you're eating. The only thing that it matters, look at like the first one, right? So egg has a little more. Almonds have a little less. All it means is that if your diet is exclusively almond, like you are on an almond-only diet, then you'll be a little low. But look, who eats like that? In today's world, if you eat enough calories, you're going to get all the amino acids. So that's not really an issue. This is Patrick Baboumian, who's the strongest man in Germany in 2011. That's, what was his name? Chris Paul. They are fully plant-based, obviously. So then you look at the food system as a whole. I also argue that eating meat, eggs, dairy hurts other people. Why? Because it increases the risk of antibiotic resistance. And these lagoons and all the piles of basically shit and antibiotics and hormones. And people who live in these areas are usually people of lower socioeconomic class. And these are the hidden victims of this food system that we have. Not to mention the direct victims. In these cases, a lot of times when in North Carolina there are floods, They're literally these animals, they can't go anywhere, they just literally drown to death. If you care about the environment, it's really interesting that we take 80% of all agricultural lands on Earth, 80% of that is dedicated to livestock, meat and dairy. That 80% better feed most of the world, right? Wrong. That only produces food for 20% of global calories. The rest of it comes from that little that's left for direct human consumption. What it means is that if the world hypothetically went plant-based today, we end up having more food. We can actually stop deforestation and actually reforest some of these forests. And that's one reason feeding the world animal products is not a sustainable way to feed the world. And it's a leading cause of global malnutrition. And it turns out, just remember this, grass-fed and organic and humanely raised or whatever, they actually have a higher environmental impact in terms of land use, greenhouse gases, and eutrophication. And just because you're producing, you have fewer cows and more land, that's why. The last thing I want to show you is basically when you walk around, sometimes you see farms like this and you ask yourself, there is nothing wrong with that. I want you to understand that a lot of bad things, you don't actually see it, like castration, like how they separate the babies from the parents and the slaughtering part. You don't see those parts. And when you see things like cage-free or grass-fed, just remember this is cage-free. Cage-free doesn't mean cruelty-free. Pasture-raised doesn't mean cruelty-free. Things that I mentioned, like male cows being killed in eggs and dairy, always the case nonetheless. Think about it. The whole industry, the whole idea is to make profit off of animals. So the second they're not profitable, they're killed in one way or another. So this is the last video I'm going to show you. And then I'll give you some alternatives, and we are done. We can eat.
But it is very much a necessity on the farm. The reason why we castrate, one, typically they bring more money in the market, and two, they say it makes the meat more tender.
Now, there's a lot of controversy on whether or not farmers should be using anesthesia. A lot of farmers in the U.S. do not do this because there's really no prescribed anesthesia or pain medication in the U.S. for cattle. That one had some bouncy balls.
It's probably the worst job on the farm. I don't ever look forward to doing it. It's the only thing that gives me a physical sick feeling having to do it. I don't enjoy it, but it's part of it.
We like to do it the most humane way.
You're going to raise pigs, you're going to raise animals. That's the kind of stuff that you just got to do.
But that's the thing, we don't have to do that anymore. And by the way, this was an undercover investigation. These were farmers putting out these videos on YouTube to just show others how humane they are. All right, but the question is, how much easier should it get to become vegan today? When you go to grocery stores, look at this. Like, this is Fairlife. Now you know the truth about Fairlife. Look at the amazing marketing. And I'm gay, so I'm attracted to colors. So it's like, I really want to go grab it, but now I know what happens to cows. Here you have another dairy products with Happy Cow. That's a lie. Literally grab anything else, almond, rice, coconut, oat, and soy milk. No one has to go and squeeze the tits of almonds to get some milk. Oreos, it's not a health food, but accidentally vegan. It's so synthetic, it's vegan. Then you have, there's people say I don't like vegan food. I mean, like hello, French fries, onion rings, and guacamole, and pico de gallo, and they say it's expensive. All you have to do when you go to Chipotle, it's like people think that they have to drastically eat other things. No. I always got the grilled veggies and rice and beans and corn and pico de gallo and guacamole and the sauces. You literally get the same thing. All you have to do is you replace the dead animal with sofritos that they have. It's actually cheaper and healthier. Lasagna, my favorite food. now I just buy these like Amy's. I'm also lazy. I don't know how to cook. I take my self-confidence in chemistry and I apply it in cooking. It does not work. But you know, just microwave this shit for 5 minutes and you have lasagna. Peanut butter. Sometimes people say it's like really hard to be vegan. You know, I travel every single day of my life, and I always find something to eat. And worst case scenario, bagel and peanut butter. I love it. There's vegan fish, ice cream. You probably didn't know that Ben & Jerry's, some of them are already vegan. So all you have to do is to spend 1 calorie, just turn this shit around and buy the one that just says non-dairy. That's all you have to do. If you're dying from protein deficiency, you know, Clif Bars and Luna Bars are already vegan. This Thanksgiving, instead of paying for 60 million turkeys to be killed, so that we just put them on the table and make, I don't know, ass bread, buy some tofurkey and cause some massive family drama. It's worth it. These are the conversations, like people who are laughing, they have an idea. But yeah, those are the conversations we must have. I know that it's a tradition, but you know, tradition and culture are fluid. Our job is to pick the good parts and keep them and change the bad parts. So that's your job. Impossible and beyond, if you really, these are not health food. Like people say, oh, it's ultra processed. Okay, sure. But like the nights that we decided to have like burgers, we're not eating healthy that night, all right? There are studies, however, it's called SWAP study, where they gave people Beyond Burger versus red meat burger, and Beyond Burger actually had better outcome. So when you go vegan, you don't have to change your identity if you're Republican or conservative or left and right, doesn't matter. You keep your identity, you just become a better version of yourself. I want to address a few things here. Like a lot of people say, can I make a difference by going vegan? The best thing I say here is that think about it like any other form of injustice. Right, so if you know that, for instance, racism is wrong, it's on you to just not be a racist. We can't use other people's struggles or lack of information or whatever to say, oh yeah, if I'm not racist, racism is not gonna go away. And that is true. As long as people exist, somebody will be a racist, somebody will be sexist, people will do horrible things. That just doesn't give us the right to do horrible things to animals. So yes, you can make a difference, and remember supply and demand. The more, every single time you pay for meat, eggs, dairy, you say more of this please. Every time you choose the alternative, you make it more normalized for people to go for the solution. And as pessimistic as I am, the only reason I have hope is, you know, my friends, I think that this is the biggest blind spot in today's society. But I know that this is not the first one. Historically, there were many blind spots, right? And every time the society morally advanced, it wasn't because everyone did the right thing. It was because a small group of people, which is you and me, decided to not be ignorant and do something about it. And people say it's hard. You don't go vegan because it's easy. You do it because it's the right thing to do. If you think about any other form of injustice, at its time, it was, of course, easier to just go with it than trying to actually fix it, right? But today, you like people who did something about it. And also, every time that you think that it's hard, you're forgetting someone. If every time you wanted to grab like a cupcake and you know that there's egg in it, this is what happens in my mind. You know, I still like cupcakes, and there is still vegan cupcakes. But if I know that it has actual eggs in it, then I remember male chicken has to go into a grinder. And I think that inside all of us, we all have that greedy, selfish prick side of us, and we all have that side that's strong and kind and compassionate and with a strong willpower. And every time that we make a decision, those two fight. And I really hope that the good part, the strong part, wins. How crazy is that? The little kid already said, I don't care how hard it is, I don't eat animals. Lions, though, have you heard that? So it's like people say, what about lions? Why is it okay for lions to eat meat? And the reason is, Maybe we should, I don't know. But it's like appeal to nature fallacy, right? Just because lions do, because we have a moral compass, it's not a jungle. Lions have to do that. They don't have another choice. But just like think about it. Like we don't look at lions to justify any other of our behaviors. Like imagine if I just killed someone and then went to the court and say, but Your Honor, like lions kill each other. And the judge be like, wow, that's a fantastic argument. I've never thought about it. Please go ahead, Mr. Harsini. It's ridiculous. Treat this like a form of injustice, not a diet. Veganism is not a diet. At its core, it means not viewing animals as commodities, as slaves, as stocks, and as objects. So when you view it that way, some things that sometimes people suggest don't make a lot of sense. For instance, a lot of people come to me and say, I'm going to reduce my meat consumption. But that's, if you think about it as a diet. If I was beating a dog right now, you will come and ask me to stop it. Imagine if I said, well, okay, fine, I'll reduce my beating. No beating on Mondays, like beatless Monday. You're like, are you a psycho? Just stop it already, right? And it's laughable because you know that it's like, for the dog, it doesn't matter. It's not the matter of quantity of number of times that I'm beating this dog. It's a matter of I'm beating them at all, right? So what can you do? Well, going vegan is a good start, but it's only a start. I know some of you, like I know you guys do, you're athletes. You know, you saw Patrick Babumian. He's using his strength and his athletic knowledge and performance to actually make a case that it is possible to be vegan and be strong. If you're into science, if you're into business, whatever you do, one of the most important things that you can do is your career. Actually, if you're thinking about it as a career, you're already thinking about it wrong. Why do you want to do something that you call it a career? Do something that it's your calling, that you will be in a place where you can say, I'd rather die than do anything else, right? But think about it. If you go to medical school, law school, if you become policymaker, voter, parents, whatever you end up becoming, just use everything you have in your power to help animals. And yeah, this is your chance. Always ask this. 200 years ago, most of us, that's the truth. Most of us would have just gone with slavery. Most of us would not have had the courage to say that this is wrong. And that's really what happens. It's not that because people are like bad. I think it's just like indoctrination of being born in that environment. So that's why, this is going to sound terrible, but I'm going to say it. When we talk about, oh, I care about injustice, this injustice and that injustice, I only believe you if you actually show me in your actions, not your words. Because of course it's easy to say I'm against like racism and sexism now that it's convenient. The test for that is, would you stand up for injustice to help other victims when it's not comfortable, when it's inconvenient? Would you have that courage? That's the test for it. That what you would have done if it was 200 years ago, right? So the test for that is, what are we going to do today? And these people went above and beyond, and these are ordinary people. They are people like you and me. They just had that courage in them. And I know that you have it in you. So get active, have that courage, be unstoppable. Don't let the society stop you, and get worse. If you'd seen what I've seen, you'd be just like me. I'm a prisoner of what I know. I'm a victim of what I've seen. I can't change. I won't change. I will never change. I'm only going to become worse. When you finally open your eyes, that's how you feel. So go get worse and do big things. And yeah, that's it. You can contact me anytime. Anything that you need. If you need help with going vegan, if you want to discuss your career options. But you have all of me, just reach out. So thanks. Thank you. And I just say one thing. All of you are here just because of one person, that guy. His name is Varad. And every exposure that happens to this injustice at Tufts is because of one person. I know that you came from northeastern, right? So you became vegan after we had a chat? Yep. Yeah. So thanks for coming long way. I think some of you came from Boston University. Thanks for coming. I'm saying don't underestimate how much power we have as individuals. The fact that I was at Northeastern at that time was because one student was doing ASAP at Northeastern. Like, all of it happens because a small group of people do things. So please join Varad. He's graduating, so I'm looking for people who actually want to take action. If you want to study in different universities, talk to me. But regardless, just speak up. And as a reminder, this Saturday we are actually going to a sanctuary. It's called Unity Farm. So you can like interact with farm animals who have been actually rescued from animal farms. So talk to folks and they'll help you sign up. We'll spend like 5 minutes, maybe Q&A or 10 minutes, and then there's food. I know you guys are hungry, so ask me anything. So the labeling is not good?
Yeah.
At Tufts?
No, I'm from BU, but I'm talking about like when you go to the shop, like the labeling, some things are vegan, which it doesn't say specifically it is, and it's sort of hard to discern that.
Yeah, sometimes they don't do the, I don't know, certification, but I think you can just look at the ingredients. Thankfully, dairy and egg are big, allergens, so usually says that at the end. The gelatin is the only thing that you have to sort of like look for. Do you have suggestions?
There's an app called Pig that can do what you were describing, like scan a marker. Cool, thank you.
So you're from the UK?
I was born in Boston, but I'm half English.
Okay. Hard to tell. What made you go vegan?
I was actually veggie for a while, but I was talking with him, and he was like, I couldn't sort of muster a moral argument against veganism, so it's like that's good enough for me.
Yeah, good friend. Yeah, thank you, friend. That's what happens when you speak up. So, any questions, concerns? Yeah.
Do you ever get like the cravings of like having steak? Like, let's say you see like a texture house, does that like?
Do you ever get like craving?
Yeah, does that like?
Think about it this way. I used to, maybe for the first couple of months. But after a while, your taste buds literally just change. Because think about it this way. If you were born somewhere you never had steak in your life and you were just used to other foods, you would not find steak appetizing. You only like it because it's a habit and you just grew up. There are things in food that makes it more appetizing, like fat and salt. But you can add that to anything, right? So the other thing is nowadays there are very good alternatives. I think Beyond actually just put out like a steak or something. So there's that. But most importantly, if you were having steaks and then someone said that's like made of dogs, I'm not sure about you, but for me, it would immediately stop being appetizing. So what prevents me from like eating it is after going vegan for a while, if I see steak, I no longer see food. I just see like body parts of somebody. And I remember their suffering, I remember the footage that I showed you. It just like stops being appetizing. I think it's like a lot more internal than like external, that you just stop yourself from reaching out, but it's like how you view animals will change. And there's gonna be times that it's like you're hungry, you don't want to just cause drama, you just want to go with whatever. But that's what I said. Like, I've been in situations where I really just wanted to, I was hungry, no one was watching or whatever. It's like, it's a lot harder when you reject it, but then after that, you feel so proud of yourself because you know that was the right thing to do. And every time you do something that's not aligned with your core values, you end up like, yeah, you enjoy the cupcake, but then you end up feeling shitty, knowing that you did something wrong to an animal. So I think that really helps. Yeah.
I had a question. You said in Berlin your friend called out your hypocrisy.
Yeah.
And there's like this 3-month period
Yeah.
that took you. I was wondering like what your mentality and daily thought process was and what finally made you have like your eureka moment.
My friend, I wish somebody just had a conversation, like full-ass conversation with me, I would have gone vegan. The thing is, 15 years ago, and it sounds a lot crazy, makes me sound like really old, but Googling wasn't like, oh, let me just ask ChatGPT. It wasn't like that. I had like a Nokia 6600. I don't even know what that is. It's like not a smartphone. It wasn't like you just pull up something and look it up on internet. So she actually was vegetarian. So all she told me was that, like, you're a hypocrite. She didn't actually use the word hypocrite. She just said, I'm not going to help you because you eat animals. And because of that, unfortunately, I never really sit down to deeply think about it. If someone said, hey, watch this movie or documentary or watch what happens to animals, I think I would have just changed immediately. But I know that I told myself, I love meat so much, it's impossible. I would never go vegetarian. And I was like, I'm just going to start from like not buying meat at home. But I know I don't have the willpower of being at a table where everyone eats meat and I just have to say, can I just get salad? So it was like, I cannot do it. Pizza was my favorite food. So imagine if you go to pizzeria and say, nope, I'm just going to have salad. But I mean, the assumption was that nowadays you don't actually have to have, you can have vegan pizza. But I think that no one really asked me the right questions to think about it as a matter of injustice. Or one question I love asking is, if you were in place of animals, how urgently would you want this to end? Right, because like, the answer is immediately. But if you don't ask yourself these questions in this way, if you view it as a diet, as if like I'm trying to just lose weight, then it's really easy to cheat, right? If you think about it as a diet, everybody cheats on a diet. But you would never cheat on your ethics. You would never go home and eat your dog because it's convenient, because it saves you time, because your dog is a good source of complete protein. Sounds stupid, right? Because you don't look at them as food.
Wondering if you have any opinion about people who personally practice veganism but keep animals as pets that need to eat meat to be healthy.
They keep animals as pets?
Like dogs or cats.
Oh, in general? Oh, those animals eat meat.
The owner is vegan, but the animal cannot be by its nature.
By their nature.
Is that a case of a hypocrisy?
I think so, but the good news is most of the pets in the US are cats and dogs. Dogs are actually omnivores, not carnivore. Cats are carnivore, but the thing is, they can actually thrive on a plant-based diet that is supplemented with one amino acid that they must get from meat. It's called taurine. But here's the thing, taurine is already synthetically added to non-vegan cat food. So it's already supplemented and designed to be suitable for cats. And so the whole idea of having pets, the breeds of cats that we have, all of it is not natural anyways, right? So I think the best solution is to have those pets and still feed them something that is nutritionally adequate without killing other animals. Because logically and mathematically, like thinking about it, it does not make sense to raise tens of other animals in captivity and torture them, mix them up, and then about 20%, something like that, 10 to 20% of like the food is basically animals that are killed just for like pet food. It's crazy, right? So there is no reason for that. And every time we do that, we actually fund the entire animal industry because that's a byproduct. So we enable animal industry every single time we do that. But the good news is we don't have to actually do that. And there is cultivated meat, lab-grown meat. In the UK, I think there is already a pet food that's cultivated meat. It's like literally real meat. But you take the stem cells from animals, you make meat. Varad knows about that, so you can always talk. Tufts, by the way, is one of the best universities working on alternative proteins, including cultivated meat, if you didn't know. So, yes?
Do you see like a future where cultivated meat replaces like regular meat?
I don't know. I think the question is like how much money and support it gets. I think if Elon Musk decided that instead of going to Mars, cultivated meat has to become a thing next year by now, it will happen. Because there is nothing technologically impossible in it. It's just a matter of reducing the cost and having fit-for-purpose equipment for it, because we're using biopharma equipment, so it becomes expensive. It's also an unfair battle because it has to become cheaper than slaughtered meat, but then a lot of our subsidies, including me as a vegan, goes to reduce the cost of animal products. But it is absolutely possible. Whether it's going to happen or not, I don't know. But I know that between that or plant-based or fermentation, one of them or a combination of all should replace. I personally look at our food system as something that's not sustainable, like petroleum. It has to change, whether it's like 50 years or 100 years, I don't know, but you're going to run out at some point. I can't tell the solution is going to be nuclear or wind or solar or a combination of all, probably something like that. Yeah.
I just had a question, like, does supplementing B12 or like any type of supplements rather than taking from animal products have any side effects?
There is no supplement that comes from animal products that you need.
Or I mean like just taking a B12 pill versus eating meat or something?
So where does B12 in meat come from? Supplements. So they actually supplement cows with B12 because B12 is not made by mammalian cells, it's only produced by bacteria, gut bacteria, it's a long story, which requires cobalt as a prefactor for B12, but the soil is depleted from cobalt because of too much agriculture. So they are literally just supplemented. And even if you eat meat, all older adults have to take B12 supplements eventually. Like when you hit 50 or 60, your body's B12 absorption goes down, so you still have to supplement anyways. But by going vegan, that's the only supplement that you actually need, or you just need eat a lot of nutritional yeast or other foods that are fortified with B12. Like energy drinks, they all have like B12.
And is it the same case with omega-3?
Same story with omega-3? Yeah.
Okay.
Because a lot of times, anything that comes from fish originally came from like algae that fish ate, so you can like get it from, or nuts and seeds and yeah. Okay, I'm almost losing my voice, but is anything else? All right, thank you again, everyone. I'll be around and let's see. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for coming. Means a lot.
Your story is like very interesting. I did not expect like all the events you told me.
Yeah.
He went to my high school. I haven't seen him in 2 years. He doesn't
That,
even go-
I realized
he doesn't
the
even go to class.
greeting.
He just appeared here.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I
What's your
just
name?
right there, big.
Sorry.
Big, just
Big?
B-I-G,
Oh,
yeah.
nice. Big. Yeah, yeah. I'm Frost. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You speak German, right?
A little bit. I used to, but it's all gone.
So, guten Tag, wie geht es dir?
Oh, is that good? Yeah.
What? I was surprised.
Bro, you had to. I'll have to learn like different languages.
For aviation? Are you learning it right now?
Aviation, you said? What did you say? Oh,
Yeah, he's Turkish.
what do you do?
I fly planes.
What planes?
Right now, Cessnas, so I like little planes, Cessnas.
Yeah. I'm almost done with, when I go back to Texas, I think I can finish my,
Flight training?
yeah.
Yeah. Good. How do you like it?
I love it. I fly with Cirrus SR-20. Yeah.
Damn, that's impressive. How long you been doing that?
I've flown a lot here and there, but I officially registered in a flight school like a year ago.
A year ago, so you have your private, right?
Not yet, because I'm always like traveling.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I have like 30 hours or so.
30?
Yeah.
Alright, you're on.
I think as soon as I'm back to Austin, I'll
You
solo.
should. Definitely. I'm a long way though. I have like 18 hours.
18 hours, yeah. So what do you think about the food?
This one's good. I like
It's really good? Yeah. Thank you, thank you.
No, it's like a restaurant.
We had the gluten-free option for March.
Really good.
You got your. Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
It's yours. I
All
think
mine?
yeah. All yours.
sure?
Yes,
All right.
yeah. Nice. How's it going?
How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to
Yeah,
see
thanks
you.
for coming.
It was good. The tail end of it was nice.
Thank you.
Hope to see a full one. at some
Yeah,
point.
thank you.
Very
Thanks
cool.
for making it. I know that
yeah,
you're.
of
Yeah.
course, of course. Thanks for the food.
Yeah, of course.
It's good stuff. Where'd you get the food?
I don't know.
This is from Tufts Catering.
Pardon?
The Tufts Catering, the university catering. But that is from Rhythm and Raps.
Yeah. Thankfully, I don't have to think about it. These guys handle it. So
Oh, yeah.
I just show up.
That's nice. That's nice. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
Yeah, of
We
course.
met.
What?
Yeah, we did.
What do you study?
Music and philosophy.
Okay, right. That's right. He studies philosophy. Do you guys know each other?
Yeah, we've been talking.
That is crazy. Okay.
But I didn't know, like, we didn't like coordinate.
Yeah, no.
Nice. That's very good. This is a sign, guys.
Yeah, they went to high school together.
Yeah. Who went to you?
The two of them.
We went to high school.
You two went to high school,
Coincidence.
and then you help him go vegan.
Yeah.
When did you become vegan? What about you?
A little less than a year.
Sorry, you guys. You are eating, and I'm just asking questions.
A
You
little
said a
less than
year?
yeah.
Okay.
But it was a long process. I was exposed to it like 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
And there was a long process of cognitive dissonance and
Yeah.
and then
Been there,
suddenly I was
my
just
friend.
like once you make the switch, it's so much easier than you think it would be.
Yeah. I think that's really what prevents people. They really
Yeah.
think it's a big step.
Like a huge life.
It's just in your head. It's like, just do it already.
I'm not big. Like, I'm a big believer that it's a lot easier than people think. Like, the only hard part is like having non-vegan friends.
Yeah.
That's literally
The
only
social
hard part.
aspect is the hardest, yeah.
Because you can get used to it so easily, like only eating vegan food
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But it's, this is
For sure.
I don't have a single like vegan friend or family member or anything. Just that's what
You have
made me
vegan
come-
friends though.
That's what made me come here.
Yeah, good.
Can't lie, I like milk and tea as well. That was sort of a bummer. Dude, that was the biggest thing that he was hung
What
up
was
on
it?
was milk in English
Oh.
breakfast tea.
Oh, yeah.
It just doesn't taste the same with
Indians too.
I think they're making like dairy, like
Animal-free,
dairy.
you got it.
Oh yeah.
It's like precision fermentation. So you
But
basically.
they've already made it. Like I follow an account, a company on
Yep.
Instagram. I think it's called Strive.
That's not the most
Yeah, it's really good.
I'll have to check that out.
Also, I really like cheese, but after being vegan, like you're like, this is gross. I accidentally, as they gave me dairy milk by accident, I was like, this tastes off. Like after going vegan. Yeah.
My roommate is a very big meat eater. I was vegetarian for a while before I became fully vegan. The smell of pork is just
Oh God, yeah.
vile to me. And he made bacon in the flat, and the whole place stank of bacon for like 2 days.
Raise hell.
It unfortunately still smells very appealing to me immediately.
Okay,
And then
don't
I
feel
remember-
bad
Yeah.
because I feel like a lot of it is the seasoning.
That's true, that's true.
And the breading,
A
at
lot
least
of
for
it
me,
is-
like a lot of
yeah.
it is like which is like plant-based.
Yeah.
And you can literally get the fucking bacon flavor was already plant-based. Like in grocery stores, I was like getting like bacon flavor. It's plant-based.
That's interesting. Yeah, I gotta try some of that. There's like the liquid smoke stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So every time I feel bad, I was like, all right.
Yeah. This is good stuff. The vegan dining hall food at BU is very bad.
You can take my share.
Yeah.
Take more.
It's like
Yeah, of course.
it's like past.
That's gluten-free, right?
Yeah.
Give the whole thing to Miles.
Like you know that Star Market? That's, It's
That-
like
that's mine.
Same area. It's like across the street from the store.
Sorry, what?
So up by like Harvard Street?
Yeah.
That's him.
I'll have to check that out.
The entire thing is yours. Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be great to get something going at BU. I'm really into that.
Are you at BU too?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
amazing.
unfortunately I graduate in like a month, so I'm happy to help for a month.
Okay.
I'm leaving with contracts.
Yeah, we had a great experience. We have a chapter at Boston College, but there was an issue with reservations, so we just decided to not waste our time and explore a new university. And here we are. Yeah.
It's really great.
Did you have a chance to take a look at stuff we do?
A little bit, yeah. I looked at your year-end report.
Yeah.
Which was very cool. Sounds
Yeah.
like you guys had a hell of a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks very cool. You do
So we do like, sometimes we show footage. The thing is, different people react to different things. That's why we do all of it. Dog meat is one of the most,
provocative.
it just gets people to stop. Yeah. Yesterday I got a donation to ASAP. And I emailed and said, well, no, thanks for your donation. How did you learn about us? And they said, yeah, my friend and I were walking around like OSU, Ohio State University, saw the dog meat, became vegan, came to my talk, and they were like, now we just wanted to just support and donate. But I just saw they stopped by because of the dog meat.
Yeah, it definitely gets people going. I've seen it around. Are you guys? Do other vegan organizations do that?
No. Oh,
really?
Well, the idea is like Elwood Organic Dog Meat. Sometimes like that's not my brand. But we work with them a lot, and it's just like one person. That was her idea.
Okay, that's cool.
So we'll just, if it's happening in a university, that's almost guaranteed it's us.
So I've seen them.
But every now and then somebody does it like outside.
I've seen it at Yale, and I saw you guys
That's
have a
us.
chapter there. So yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. It's very cool. So I've encountered you before.
We're going to Yale
Yeah.
after this. So yeah, we do that. We poster a lot around campus because we want people to be exposed to the idea. And we have this poster that says veganism is a moral urgency. You might have seen if whatever we put up, if it's there. The idea is that they see it, they're sort of primed. They look at this, the idea of speciesism. They forget about it. Next day they come, they have a conversation with you. And then they forget about you. They come back to campus, they see this again. It's like another reminder.
Yeah.
And for most of us, like, we don't become vegan immediately. It takes some time. It took some time for you too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I was weirdly hung up on like, I think it was a very like logical based thing for me. Like, I mean, my first exposure to it was like reading Peter Singer.
Yeah.
And then I started seeing videos of like, you know, Alex O'Connor.
I was his biggest Patreon supporter.
Huh?
I was his biggest Patreon supporter.
It's a shame.
Until
it's a shame. Yeah. But
he derailed.
No, but he was a big part of my early exposure.
Yeah.
Which sucks that he's not vegan anymore, but you know, still Alex O'Connor. Heard of him? He does a lot of like philosophy, theology stuff, and he used to be a huge vegan advocate.
You should Google my name plus Alex O'Connor.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Have you talked to him, or you said stuff about his?
I talked to him when I was a supporter.
Okay.
But then after that, you know, I made a video.
Yeah.
And my video went viral because, like, I think all the pissed off vegans joined my channel.
Yeah. Nice. That's great. Yeah, but him and like Earthling Ed, I used to see a lot, and it was always like those videos spoke to me a lot, and I was like, yeah, I really cannot think of a reason not to go vegan, but for some reason, for the longest time, I was just like, okay, well, I have that in my head, but I don't want to go vegan. And like, I think I wasn't connecting.
I think the emotional thing is really important.
Yeah.
People don't.
Eventually it just clicked.
I'm a pretty logical guy, but I think that most people just don't make decisions based on like logic. You don't go to the gym because logically you're convinced that it's better for you. Just like, oh, I look like shit in the mirror, and like, you start feeling bad. It's a feeling that it's like you only go vegan when you start eating and you start feeling bad. It's not like, oh, this is another one of 3 trillion animals killed. That doesn't just. But that's awesome. I say this. I think that when you become vegan, it's almost like escaping Auschwitz. In this case, like, you know that behind these walls, horrible things are happening, but the rest of the society doesn't know. It's in denial. And you almost have the moral responsibility to tell others that, like, if you escape from that prison and you are the only one who knows the truth, you would just stop everyone you come across and it's like, wake up.
Right.
And so with veganism, that's right how I think about it. So now that you know, you almost, I'm sorry that like that burden is on your shoulder now, but it is.
But you know.
Because if we don't talk about it, then who?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's why I want to start getting into more activism and advocacy instead of just being vegan.
Makes me so happy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great thing that you guys do. I like it. I'm glad I met you.
Yeah, I'm glad I met you. We'll support you with like training. Like, if you don't know how to do it, totally fine. The only thing I need is just dedication, like seriousness, dedication, and a little willpower or the courage, I would say. Because when you start speaking up, people get mad. Right?
Yeah.
And then you have to have the courage to just keep doing what you're doing. So when we do dog meat, like, a lot of people change, but some people also online, oh, crazy vegans or whatever. But they're still talking about it, and somebody usually says the idea is this and that. When the status quo is so fucked up, any way you try to push it, somebody will get mad. So you just have to get comfortable with someone not being happy. You can't please everyone, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't talk.
How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Thanks for convincing me. I'm glad I came.
Yeah, I'm glad.
It reinforced everything.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. Been vegan ever since?
Yeah, but not perfect. Like, but I have never touched. I've never touched meat, but I have like kind of conveniently okay, eaten like some dairy here or there. Not milk, but like through like pastries or something.
Yeah.
But 95% of the time,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I'm trying to get better.
That's awesome. It's like I said, the trick is understanding that every time you actually actively reject it, you make an impact. Because if you take it, it just like becomes more and more normalized.
Yeah.
And thinking about it this way, like if the cruelty in dairy industry was happening in front of you, it just stops being appetizing. So that helps you down. Yeah. But that's really awesome.
The talk was great.
Thank you.
Lots of good humor mixed in and stuff. And it had a good flow as to how
Yeah.
it transitioned.
Thank you.
I definitely, so I'm the type of person that likes to like learn things fundamentally.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I really want to look into the actual research papers behind, the food science and the ecological stuff as well.
There is so much. The more you read about this, the more like, why is this happening?
Yeah, the more it's like confusing as to.
But I had such little time that I was like, I'm gonna spend one slide on environment. You think about like public health. You look at literally anything, any sector, any field you look. There's an issue related to animal farms.
Yeah. It has way more cons than pros.
Yeah.
There was this book that I've been reading. Like you probably heard of it. It's called Deep Work.
Deep Work?
Have you heard of it?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh, well, it's kind of like a productivity book, but one of the chapters is like why you should quit social media.
Yeah.
And like the framework he uses is like people that justify social media use an any benefit framework. So like any benefit they can like grasp straws at, they use it to justify it, but instead of actually weighing the pros.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And so that kind of reminds me of this. Or
Yeah.
this reminds me of what?
Do you want to take a picture with these guys?
Sure.
Yeah. Can I borrow you for a second?
Sure.
Take a picture of us.
We have to head out, but thank
Yeah,
you
sure.
so much,
My pleasure. Thanks for coming.
Of course.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Great to see you.
Do you guys want to take a picture?
Yeah, sure.
Do you mind taking one?
Yeah.
I got you.
Maybe we go there. You text it to me. Yeah.
Is it fine if I take these to go?
Yeah, it's yours. All of it is yours. Yeah.
Would you put them back if you said no? I have a blue light filter. For my eyes. Is that
It's all good?
I like the blue filter.
Awesome.
Do you plan
Yeah.
on making it to the airlines? Is that like
No, I just like flying.
I'll be quite the great.
Yeah. Nice to see you
Vegan
guys.
pilot could be tough.
Yeah.
With a vegan pilot, yeah.
All right.
All right. Nice to meet you.
My
man.
pleasure, yeah.
Have a good day.
Good to see you for us.
Thank you guys. Means a lot. You were saying about the book?
Oh, we can go this way.
Great talk. So many
Thank you.
good outcomes. Yes.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you were able to come for the last bit.
Yeah, basically, it was about quitting social media.
Sorry.
I also prefer gluten-free options, and I think we have some, but Elaine meant we are giving them to someone or something.
Oh, I didn't know you wanted gluten-free. I gave it all
You gave it
to.
Okay, no worries.
Sorry.
I'm not like I don't have an allergy, but I just like it.
You prefer it?
Yeah. heard also the pesticides that are spread over that are actually sticking to the gluten. That might explain why so many people are allergic to gluten, even though they are not.
It's just a pesticide, yeah. Sorry, we get interrupted.
Yeah, but basically, like, the author talks about, like, today, like, shallow work is basically the norm. Like, every few minutes you pick up your phone or something and, like, some other distractions. And so the whole premise is, like, to schedule deep work sessions every day or every few days. And that's where your, like, cognitive, like, boundaries and your creative boundaries are actually pushed no matter what industry you're in.
Yeah.
And so one of the chapters is about, like, quitting social media, or at least, like, having it really fasting from it. And, like, it kind of reminds me of this because when he talks to people, they always come up with, like, one excuse after another, using, like, an any benefit framework. Like, oh, any benefit there is means I should do it, rather than weighing the benefits versus harms. So it kind of reminds me of, like, how, like, the people I talk to just jump from one thing into the other excuse.
Yeah, for sure. I know you were asking a lot of questions, so I bet, like, your friends are giving you a hard time. But find yourself a bunch of, like, good vegan friends who are, like, active, and just remember, just being vegan is really just a moral baseline. And it's like, after this, the question is, you're into music, right? Like, or you have a company?
Yeah, I'm into startups.
Yeah.
So, like, my co-founder, he was the one who had the music idea because he does production, but he left. So I'm just kind of, like, managing the entrepreneurial.
Yeah. You know, whatever you end up doing, whether it's, like, for some people it's like having a successful business and using the money to help animals with donations. It's like there are musicians who use their audience to help animals. It's like whatever, just say,
Yeah.
like, just being vegan is really the start.
Yep.
So.
She had a bunch of MIT students last time over there.
Actually, my mom, so you talked to me, like, in October or something, and I went back in December for break, like Christmas break, and my mom was so pissed. Because she had been vegetarian most of her life, like, from the age of, like, 15 to, like, recently, and then her doctor told her, you need iron and your knee cartilage is, like, bad, so you should start eating, like, maybe, like, goat or something. And then because of that, she started having, like, her mind sort of changed that, oh yeah, meat is now good and all that. And so she was really mad when I was like, oh no, I don't even eat egg and all that. She was really mad. Like, every day we would have debates. Every day.
Good for you.
Like, 3-week break. And my dad was like, my dad's more chill and he likes science. He just hadn't gotten to the point of, like, fighting against my mom. He just lets her cook it and eat it. My sister kind of was inspired by what I was doing, but she's like 14. She was also kind of, like, doesn't have the willpower.
Autonomy, yeah.
But my dad was like, yeah, let him do whatever he wants, stop arguing about this every day.
Good. But yeah, so work on your sister, show her, like, what happens. And, you know, if she's being fed by someone else, that's one thing. But also a lot of times, like, children get to help their parents and change their parents. So don't underestimate, yeah. My co-founder, when he became vegan, then he helped his parents go vegan. You know, Varad.
Yeah.
Varad is also from India.
Yeah.
He told his parents he's not going to talk to them anymore unless they go vegan.
Yeah.
And he knew that they're going to fall for it, yeah. Thank you for coming, yeah.
Where should I put these?
There's, like, a trash can there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming, yeah. And we're going to the sanctuary on Saturday, if you're around.
What is that, a farm?
It's a farm sanctuary. It's about 40 minutes from here. We can provide ride, but there's going to be all the vegans from other students we support.
So what do you do there?
Oh, you just like cuddle and pet all these rescued farm animals, but they all have like a story, like they are rescued from like a dairy farm or whatever. And yeah, nutrition is a big issue, but where's your mom?
Like living right now?
Yeah.
She's back home in Arizona.
Arizona, okay.
But we're from India. Like our family's from India.
What's her religion? Hindu?
She's not that religious.
Or
She
okay,
kinda
at least
follows
background,
bit of
like
everything, like
okay.
Hinduism, and her mom was Christian. So
Okay.
a bit of both almost.
Okay.
So like as you saw Nathan.
One thing you can do is like, I say don't spend a lot of time on your mom because like it's like too much efforts, and whether they change or not, it doesn't really make a huge difference. Keep pushing. I'm not saying don't. One good way to do it is use your birthday or something, a day that you know that people are going to be nice to you, and say, for my birthday, instead of birthday party, can you watch this movie with me? So what are they going to say? No? And show them Makadut.
Which one?
Makadut.
Oh, the Indian.
Yeah. Mother's milk. You were born here? In India? Where?
Tamil Nadu.
Okay, Tamil Nadu. Yeah. Yeah. So speak Hindi? But yeah, show your mom that video in like an occasion where she's gonna be nice, so at least she knows. There, actually, the documentary maker, he's an MD. Yeah. And it's true, you need iron, but you don't need goat milk.
Iron and other things.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no like deficiency.
With that rationale, liver has a lot of iron. Is she gonna like eat liver? But she's vegetarian, right? But she's not gonna eat liver.
No, she started eating, I think, mutton.
What's that? What?
Mutton.
Mutton? What is it?
Like goat.
Like actual goat meat?
Yeah.
Oh, god damn it.
So she starts eating just that, not chicken or anything else, just that. But
It's crazy.
We were all having conversations with people who are like changing, and he was like trying to make a funny video or whatever, but then like realized, oh, people are like actually talking, and then just kind of like awkwardly like, so he like wanted to troll us like get a reaction because a lot
reasoning, he was like, oh yeah, the studies you're talking about, there's like biases in every study. Like there can be proponents of that philosophy who are writing the studies or something like that. So he's like, you don't know which studies to trust. That was kind of his thing.
Then you can't trust science. Like it doesn't. Yeah, that's like an appeal to futility, and I think that's what animal industry does. They introduce. They muddy the water, so people are like, oh, I don't know. People say this. People say that. But the strength of evidence is not the same. Yes, you can find a paper that says whatever you want, but one is like based on 2 animal studies, the other one is like 130,000 people over 30 years.
That's so funny. I'm sure many people have told you that tonight. That's kind of crazy. But yeah, it is crazy. But yeah, so.
But yeah, if you can, you should come on Saturday.
Okay, I'll check.
Yeah, there's gonna be free dinner, social.
That is a new one. I'll have to think about that one for a while.
My friend.
Maybe it's just not convention.
Sure, I don't even remember. He does like
Even if it's there and it's not like labeled, as much as having the word vegan in the image food oftentimes actually makes less people take it, they could still put a little V label on it. And if
I didn't mean to look at it. Was that like a QR code as your background?
It is. It's not vegan propaganda.
It's different propaganda.
It's different propaganda.
Different
I think it's like propaganda.
It's my
Your propaganda. Okay, what is your propaganda?
You'll have to skip and find out.
All right.
I swear it won't give you a virus.
It's just like a very cool way to present something. Like you can look at here and think, oh, I just have this design here. And then
I don't know, maybe the water has honey in it.
Oh, bicycles. Okay.
I don't know.
He's a bike nerd.
I worry about that too sometimes, where it's like if they have labels one place but not another, I'm like,
They label cucumber.
Not just bike.
Yeah, well, that's
Which is another thing, I don't know, maybe it was,
we have a
it's in some
non-profit
liquid,
where we
that liquid does have honey.
it's probably just they were really bad at labeling.
Oh, that's
But
awesome.
also
Yeah, that's the
Most of
only
them are
reason, but I'm
like
like, I don't wanna
cargo
do
bikes
that, like, I don't know.
that carry 2 kids, 4 kids.
Are the tomatoes?
It's like the baby carrier.
Just kidding.
Very good.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's fresh.
How do you know each other?
We took ASL together.
Okay. Nice. What do you do?
I'm a student here.
At Tufts?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you study?
I studied math, political science, and
like
psychology.
maybe they're like
Very good.
being really safe and thinking like,
Vegan,
what if there's
veggie.
actually
I'm actually not at all.
tomatoes?
He brought me here, so
Okay.
yeah. Are you trying to convert me? Is that what's going on? Or you just wanted to have me?
They're vegan tomatoes.
The beautiful thing is like, you have to try it, well, especially like you already
Real tomatoes over here.
Yeah.
all of the things.
I'm just too picky.
Yeah, if you feel like
In a way, we all have been converted to not be vegan.
this change, I would really
You know.
recommend like
Yeah.
Were you here from the beginning? Or, sorry, I don't know if you came late or you were here from the beginning. You saw the kids, right?
quite frankly, I've never seen a case
Yeah.
where like the administration.
And I think
does
it's,
not eventually,
frankly, it's
like,
just really easy to eat animal products just because
the student
screaming and the pain is not in front of
as
you.
soon as they're like, oh, this is no longer.
It's like you know deep inside that
It's like, oh,
it is happening, right?
we're out of office, but
No,
just by simply
like what I
not giving
meant
up
was
and being super annoying and
like
never going
nobody
away,
supports
you
animal
can make so
abuse.
much progress. It just
Yeah.
needs to
I've
be
been
like
vegan 5 years.
more annoying to not
5
deal
years of my
with
life.
the dining
I
campaign
financially.
than it is to like, or like it
The
needs
thing
to
for
be
me
like
was
more
like I don't
annoying
give
to
money
not
to organizations
avoid the student
that
concerns, you know.
support
It's naturally they just generally like will kind of push back against anything that makes them work.
industries that
But as soon as it becomes more work to like
so it's just like
push
a
back,
very,
they're like, oh,
if I
okay.
wouldn't like for me veganism is very like a very trans.
You talking about the cafeteria change?
Yeah.
Like, what would you think would be like a first step, like a ask, like this more,
As long as I'm not
more,
like
like
paying
you,
for it.
you come with like 5% more, 10% more, like the whole
And so even like if somebody
I feel like that's been kind of
Like if I'm getting
stressed,
food for
and
friends,
at
like
least,
going to pick stuff up,
one of the students
like,
who
I'm
has a
gonna
dining
pay
campaign
for
design
it,
was kind of
then
like
it's gonna be
not feeling the percentage reduction simply
regardless of
because
what
it felt like kind of
Yeah, I would say also
in the ether
it's a matter of
actually
social acceptance
it kind
of,
depends on
for instance, like maybe you don't wear leather or you don't buy leather, but you still like, somebody gave it to you, right? But I think like every time that you wear that, you sort of normalize the idea that animal skin
plant-based defaults
is fashion for us.
party stations that have plant-based options, or if there's like
So I think there's like value in just rejecting it.
some form of salt and a drink at the station. Just make it so that by default you're asking them if it can be oat milk, but if somebody requests the other thing, they
Leather?
still technically have it. It's just by default it's no longer the animal.
Half is your.
And that
Half-
is really
I
effective.
know, half is a lot.
People who are not going
I like a
vegan,
lot of shoes.
like use less animal products.
Good for you.
But if there really just isn't an option in specifically like the systems that
I was gonna say, I mean, I'm not vegan, but I
also
don't,
is like
I don't think I own any leather, but I guess it's a very different fashion.
offerings that they have.
How would you define veganism after this talk?
Like less than 20% of the entrees here are vegan, or there's like no vegan entree at
Like the
this
choice
dining
to
hall
not
at this time,
consume
or
animal
like at this
products.
dining hall at this time,
That's
or
normally
like
how
this
I
one
would
is
say it,
only
but
ever pasta.
no,
And say
you're so
specifically
mad.
the ask is like increase the amount of entrees from just pasta to at least 3 plant-based entrees that have like at least 20 grams of protein and a good amount of calories.
It's the consequence of being vegan is that you don't eat animal products.
Most of the decisions for like recommendations that we made for food.
The reason I think it's just important is because unfortunately there is a lot of like misconception around the word vegan. So for instance, when you say like, I'm not vegan, it sounds like I'm not gluten-free, right? Why should I be gluten-free if I'm not like gluten-free? But if you think about the idea behind it, almost everyone, unless someone is like an actual animal abuser, stands behind the idea of veganism. It's only a matter of, are we aligning our actions with our values? That's really what it is. And you probably do. When it comes to dogs, you probably are vegan when it comes to dogs. You don't look at dogs as commodities, as food, as resource, right? But we've been conditioned to look at cows, pigs, chickens, fish as resource and commodities. So being vegan is really just freeing yourself from years of conditioning and indoctrination to treat all animals with respect. And I think we already know that. Like if I was beating a chicken in front of you, we'd probably feel terrible. But the issue is that when you have egg or when you have chicken wings, you don't just think about it, right?
And just like make it clear to the student body, for example.
But yeah, thanks for coming anyways. I know it's...
I don't know if it's more like
I wasn't exactly told what this is. I was just told
That's the right way to do it because... Because if you tell anyone who wants to go and open their eyes, you know, it's not, yeah, but...
Tell Brian.
What did you do? Did you bring him to
He talked to
we want 2 more vegan entrees consistently available.
Danny Shea? Oh, he's going to join our tour.
Like we want to replace
Yeah.
2 of these non-vegan options with these vegan options.
I'm gonna have a really long explanation of what happened today with Brian. And he's gonna expect it's gonna be about what we say about that, and no, it's gonna be about.
I'll have to find the.
If you were interested, of course.
Surely I don't have that many
Like
messages.
doing a larger thing.
I think you probably have quite.
Like it took me probably like the equivalent of like a 5 to 10 hours talking about it.
Is she vegan? The person you were talking to?
Yeah.
From Tufts?
She's the junior cam.
Oh, she's Cam. Okay.
Yeah, so.
I'll talk to her.
Yeah, you should. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, you should talk to her. I was just talking to her because she was interested in that, but like the dining thing. So Elaine is right now talking about that.
What about dining?
Like increasing plant-based options in the dining hall.
Okay. She's involved in that?
Yeah, she wants to be, but I don't know how much she will do about that. So,
I don't just want someone to keep up the chapter.
Even if she doesn't do that, you just can tell her to, if that's not a
And maybe you can talk to these guys. And yeah, just like encourage them. Like it's been great, whatever. Yeah. Okay.
There's a transfer state course you need to do. Yeah. For those vegans in the future, it can help. It doesn't really help like historically, but yeah. It also I think makes it a lot easier when you're following up from something like outreach or an event and people have already like, you know, gone vegan or considered veganism. When you can say like in the dining halls there's always like these entrees. Then that makes it just that much easier for them to take that step. As much as it shouldn't have to be that much easier for them to like kind of align their actions with their values. For some people when they're just like dipping their toes in, it can be helpful. I would say.
Do they have a cool bike co-op here?
Oh yeah.
So you're Cam? Okay. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming. Yeah.
Oh, the bike
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people know me here.
A lot of, what's that?
A lot of people know me apparently.
Yeah. How was food?
Oh, it was very good. Yeah, I've been trying to like test out some of the more places in Boston.
Uh-huh.
That I'm on the plan. So I'm like, I've been going.
Very good.
Environmentalist.
Very nice.
Or trains.
Yeah.
How long have you been vegan?
Since quarantine. I was vegetarian before that since middle school for me.
Okay.
So I guess quarantine for me was like sophomore year high school. So yeah, it's been.
Likes trains.
I'm a junior now. 5 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Actually, kind of the same timeline for me where I went actually vegetarian in high school, but then like right before the pandemic I went vegan.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna go to all these restaurants.
Oh no.
No, I didn't.
What made that last switch? If it was
very
something.
gradual. I would say it was very much not like I was like immediately like all vegan. It was like I was definitely slowly getting more and more plant-based because my mom was vegan. So like she would tend to make vegan things for me and us as our family. And so it was just like a natural kind of evolution of that kind of. I didn't have like a aha moment.
Yeah.
I would say it was like probably vegetarian was the aha moment when I was
What
like,
was that?
oh, I really love my dog.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, how can I eat pig if I love my dog?
Yeah.
So then it was like, yeah, that kind of thing. The vegan was more slow. Because I think we already really ate vegan. It was an interesting, like, slow.
Do you do any activism in Boston?
But yeah, you know, it just seems like that.
That's very good. What do you study, you said?
Biochem.
Biochem, great.
But low-key burnout as hell. So that might
change.
too late for that. We'll see what I end up actually doing.
Yeah. Well, good news. Bachelor degree doesn't really matter that much. We can just switch to whatever, so don't feel too bad. Yeah.
Because people wear masks and then they stand holding the footage.
I actually have a biochem
Other people to talk
Tomorrow, so go study. Is that a Discover card?
Yeah.
I have the exact same one.
Oh my god, dude! I think that's so fun. I love that. Yeah,
I prove it to you.
Yes, that's so good.
From that little bit that was sticking out, I was like, I've seen that for the past 10 years. Yeah.
Do you think it's just like this kind of the school work aspect of it that's kind of like burnouty, or is it just like biochem as a whole?
Oh, we don't need to get into it.
Yeah, I don't need to get into it if you don't want to talk about it. I was just kind of curious.
Yeah, no.
I was just told we're getting
That's neither here nor there. It'll work out. It'll be fine.
I know when I was studying, unrelated, but like more computer-based stuff, like applied coding. Honestly, like actually studying it made me so tired.
So Varad is graduating. I'm looking for someone to sort of help with the chapter. Have you considered, or would you be interested?
I'm so hungry.
But did you like it?
Like
food or the
food?
Honestly, I feel like I'm gonna help with like the dining stuff because like I feel like that's what I should do. But I really don't really like veggies.
Okay.
Or like, and
I mostly need somebody to sort of keep the chapter alive and do the paperwork, because even that allows us to be here, do the talking and table.
I could, if it was
But if the chapter dies, then we can't even be here, right? So.
I could just do paperwork.
Yeah.
I'll do that for you.
Yeah.
They make good
Okay.
vegan sour cream and cheese now.
I know there's, I know, I think there's someone else that's also younger that's getting into too, that like he might take over eventually. Like if I need to do paperwork for a year, that
Yeah.
Isn't it Elias?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he was pretty passionate and like driven. Could do good. Anyways. Yeah. If they're small things, like I feel like I can't do that much.
Yeah.
But like I can do small things.
Okay, that'll so because we have to come to Boston a lot, and like we have now 3 students from Boston University who want to start a chapter. But the thing is, like, if we had a student who could even book a room, we could actually give this talk at Boston University. But of course, like, if you're not a student organization, you can do that. So just the fact that the club stays alive. And I know that you definitely care about the mission. You don't have to do the tabling. But that would be a great help. That allows us to come here and still do what we need to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I should probably head out.
All right.
But that sounds good.
Yeah.
I feel like, do you have my email from like the mailing list?
I actually don't. Maybe we can.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's in the database. But yeah, I'll just get your email and number. Thank you.
But
But now they have precision fermentation where they actually like culture the lactose on yeast or something like that.
Yeah. You talked about
So
you talked to me about it earlier.
Yes, I did.
What is it?
Exactly.
I wanted to make sure that
Yeah.
I promoted the
Because they just grow the it's like because they get
So
the lactose.
we have
and then
have you heard of
culture
that
that on like a
vegan
yeast medium or
No,
whatever.
my brother has.
Yeah,
He
there's a
sent
milk. I don't know if they have
pictures.
the sheet.
Tell your brother to come too.
Do you add your number too, so we
Oh,
have it.
yeah,
Thank you.
oh,
And it tastes exactly like milk. It even gives you like that weird like dairy.
I live in Norfolk.
The mucus is already like building up.
So Unity Farm Sanctuary is personally my favorite sanctuary. They're really cool, and we're going to this Saturday. We'd love for you.
Are you coming to? Have you been to Unity Farm before?
This is the effect. No, I work with Long Beach. Yeah. Our high school teacher. I went to the UA also.
Yeah.
Sorry, what's your name?
Sophia. But I think that was a little dangerous.
Are you German?
Yeah. I don't know, if like there was like some alien species, whatever, and they would just think, oh, she's a human, she is one of those we can exploit. But be nice to her, be nice to, like, I wouldn't like that at all. Because I would just be like to see as not to exploit, respect. Thank you.
I think it's sort of a fundamental like aspect. I mean, like I feel like it's potentially like you're arguing sort of potentially like logically conceivable that you could exploit something without like causing it harm if that's what your value system like decides is important. But I think it's a fundamental logic of capitalism that it's not ever going to.
I agree. It's like a logic of society.
Yeah.
Are you in graduate school, was it, or you're undergrad too? Okay.
And you're also senior.
Junior?
Okay. But you both.
And you're junior too?
Yeah. But it's you're graduating early.
Yes, I'm graduating in 3 years.
We
were in the same year in high school.
Okay.
So you're junior, senior. Right?
Yeah. It's every time he said I'm a senior, I wanted to be like, no, you're.
What's next for you?
I'm heading back to the UK in July, and I'm doing a teaching English as a second language like certificate. So I've been potentially go to some other countries and teach English there.
What's the first word you're gonna teach people?
Happy.
No, vegan. Come on. That was good though. Yes, happy.
Yeah,
Happy was mine.
Yeah, that actually gave me a line too. Happy.
We did the whole move by Mike. I guess that's like so there's similar like people that need.
Yeah, instead of meat, say this is called flesh.
And so
This is called breast milk.
from cows.
Oh my God, that would be so great. Sometimes I go to Starbucks and I say, do you have something that's not breast milk or something? And they just think, yeah, they just think I'm like a foreigner. I don't know the right terminology. It's so cute. I love that.
That's funny, yeah.
I'm listening to this piece multiple times, and it's every time I'm like, this
Something different.
Yeah,
it's just so beautiful.
I was able to do that.
Thank you.
He wrote one because he has a little bit of control. He was like, what if we got this like one bike that I really like, and so
I was
sometimes
just telling them about how like this is the most skill that I could ever attain with, and not just that, like it's that the ratio is like 100%. It's like so like crazy to me.
Yeah.
That's really cool to hang out with a lot of vegans or even vegan activists. You don't have to be it's not nice, you know. I have friends that are not vegan, but there's always an underlying manipulation.
Just,
to manipulate them. It's like not nice, right?
Yeah.
I would say I'm not as well versed.
Yeah, I mean, literally everyone in my life is not vegan.
Yeah.
And it's, except for him.
The one that you made.
Yeah.
I needed one. Although I will claim the credit of having been vegan before him and
He
then
was,
having relapsed back to
Yeah.
eating meat for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Why do I need to be vegan? Because I need friends.
Exactly.
Um,
But it's like you see, like the people around me, I mean, my family especially, are like,
His house is a shop.
they're eating, they're not going vegan, but they're eating like way more plant-based than they used to, which is like, you know, it's something. Like just me being a presence in their lives.
Like I always force my parents
putting it into their brain.
Yeah, abuse like situations like your birthday and times when people have to be nice to you and sit down. I've seen people do that. Like it's really good. They sit down with their parents, watch Dominion. Like I mean, like if you say all I want, no birthday, no gift, just watch this 2 hours. I mean, no, who says no? And step by step. But at the same time, like I think one of the biggest mistakes is that we do most of our advocacy with our parents, but they're all there. People don't have children to learn from them. That's not why they had you. There's a relationship, underlying relationship going on. But when you talk to strangers, it's only a matter of like numbers. You talk to 100 people, 10, 20 people will go vegan on the spot. Some people will take some time. And then they change. Most people don't go vegan immediately. So you talk to them now, they'll change later. But we can't afford not having these conversations on college campuses. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, like I was telling you, my like early exposure to it was all like kind of like vegan debate people.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't really about like the emotion of it. It was all like logical debates, and I would watch like a ton of those. So I feel like I have a lot of the, you know, the talking points.
Yeah.
That's why I want to have this conversation with people.
Sometimes like they kind of catch you by like surprise with how like stupid they are.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
The non-vegans.
Yeah. I know.
I'm gonna go.
And then I like don't even like I can't even think of Rose's response.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I pulled up the app, it looked like my screen popped up. You know, I've done a lot of tabling for the socialist party in England, and like these people, like a lot of people you can speak to are very nice, they're civil, and you can, you know, have a very lovely conversation with you. And then there's people who will come up because they want to have a fight, and they're not. It's not in good faith at all, and they're just like oftentimes completely insane, like
Yeah.
talking nonsense. And, like this is not a productive expenditure of my time and resources to speak with you.
One thing we'll have some training, and so we'll help you have like more effective conversations. Because if you take what Earthling does and apply it to every single person, then you end up talking to 2 people in one day, right?
Yeah.
It makes sense to do those debates, and we do that. We actually have lots of. We even have one. We are saying like bestiality should be legal. Change my mind. And people are like, what the fuck?
Let's do some
Yeah. Let me explain what I'm talking about. But debate tables are good for longer, you know, contents, and then you make stuff and you put it on YouTube. But with like one-on-one conversation, it's like there is this framework that we use, and it's always the same thing. And it always starts with, do you respect animals? And most people say yes. Then do you think it's possible to truly respect animals and take away steal their milk and eggs and slaughter them? Do you think? Most people say no, they see the contradiction. And then you say, then what's stopping you from going vegan? Do you know what veganism means? And then you describe. Then you always end with, when is the right time to stop exploiting animals? If you were in place of the victim, how urgently would you want that to stop? And they say immediately, and then the conversation ends there. But it's like, when you practice it so many times, like you always say the same thing. And sometimes, and then because you have the structure, you don't get distracted. Otherwise, non-vegans are so good at just distracting you. Or like, what about like, you know, yeah.
I would love to go there one day.
Yeah, this island.
See what the animals eat.
Yeah.
There's nothing growing, so that's why we have animals there.
The Tufts Library earlier this time.
But anyway, yeah.
And if that's still not available, then maybe I'll
Yeah,
just
also about
go
like
there, be a trainee.
something. I know it's so obvious, right? It probably is, but like out of experience,
I had like so many examples, you know, where, for example, a hunter comes up and say, oh, perfectly fine, because I totally agree with this, all the suffering, whatever. That's
You have like
fine.
an A on that? Yeah. But I
Like,
didn't
there's
remember.
so much room for explanation.
Or if you just have to get A. Yeah, 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 right. That happens. I've seen here, like, I've been thinking like I like to Cambridge.
Looks like people like the burgers better.
That's why I saved you one of the rhythm and rock ones.
Okay, thanks.
Or we could say we use machines instead of humans. That is actually worse.
Yeah, we're interested in there.
Well, thank you again if you joined. It was a presentation at Tufts. And our next destination is University of New Hampshire. And then after that, we go to UMass, University of Massachusetts in Amherst. So thanks again for following us. I love this talk. As you saw, there are people here who became vegan from when I talked to them at Northeastern. And there were people who we came across when we were doing dog meat event at Boston University. So it's just really good. There were a few athletes here who became vegan after my talk from like last year. So it's just really good to see these people around. So I'm very, very happy. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you next time.